Thank you very much for having me. I am truly honored to speak to such a wonderful audience. Um, I, you are in my dining room, so welcome to my dining room. I'm trying to keep everybody quiet so that you can hear me, but that comes with a challenge. You'll meet my daughter who has autism, who is 41, and trying to remind her that I'm speaking is very interesting. Anyway, I want to start my talk. Wait a second, where is it?
I'll go ahead and share.
I'm sorry, we're looking for it.
There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and share real quick. Okay, perfect. I'm going to share.
Oh, here it goes. Okay.
Exactly, put in present mode.
Okay. Well, now I feel a little more organized. Thank you for your patience. Anyway, I want to disclose that there's no relevant financial relationship or non-financial relationship, and that's just part of the APA requirements. So I wanted you to know why that was there. The objectives for today are to describe the role of executive function in persons with ASD, develop interventions that can lead to workplace success and greater independence. Okay, so objective one, let's talk about the role of executive functions in persons with ASD. And I will first describe what happens in a neurotypical situation. It's first important to understand that the frontal lobe of the brain, which I'll show you a picture of, is a multifaceted organ in the brain. It includes a constellation of higher order cognitive processes that involve reasoning, problem solving, as well as planning and organization, as well as successful execution of behavior. It's important to consider everything we do has to do with a brain behavior relationship. It's not unitary. One analogy is that the frontal lobe is really like an orchestra conductor or many co-conductors rather than just a single person or a single lobe in front of your head, right above your eyes, trying to conduct all the neurons and neurotransmitters that are present in the brain. Oh, and by the way, if you have any questions, Dominique, can they?
Yes, you can put your questions here in the chat and we will be able to answer them at the end of the talk.
Okay, so here is my one of my favorite pictures of the brain. It is multicolored and it helps give you a picture of how many lobes there are that are important in your functioning of everyday life. And so we have the purple lobe right here. That is the frontal lobe. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about executive functioning, thinking, planning, organizing, timekeeping, emotions, behavioral control, and what you're really like as a person. Then we have the motor cortex. So any move you make with your hand is driven by the frontal lobe, and then transmitters coordinate with the motor cortex, and you lift your hand, you can hit somebody, it's what controls motor functioning. Here in this separation between the red and the yellow or orange is the sensory cortex, hot, cold, I don't know, warm, soft, velvet, and you're able to tell what is existing in your environment just by touching it and not having to really think too hard about it, because your frontal lobe will tell you. The parietal lobe is the green lobe, and that's perception, making a sense of the world, arithmetic, spelling. A lot of sequencing goes on in the parietal lobe, especially on the left side of the lobe. Then we have the occipital lobe, and I'm going to share something with you with the occipital lobe, because although it's way back here, this is the lobe that relates to vision. And I'm going to use it as an example because it's true in all the lobes, but it's easy to show it in the occipital lobe. In the back of the occipital lobe, back here, what you see, and your brain is interpreting it. It says, I see something. It doesn't tell you what it is. It just says, I see something. Back a little further, the occipital lobe gets another image, and they'll say, gee, I see something, but it is a glass of water. And as it moves closer to the frontal lobe and other lobes in the brain, you're able to name it. So even though you think that each lobe may have a unitary construct or a unitary operation, it has many operations, and you can have, for example, if this part of the brain is injured, then you will have difficulty for sure seeing. The yellow lobe is for hearing, and it has the same method of functioning. It has the primary, which is I hear something, and then you're able to identify that sound. It's a train. And then the third is related to it's a train, and you name it. So all this information goes and is transmitted by millions and millions and millions of neurons through transmitters, neurotransmitters, to the frontal lobe. And what does the frontal lobe do? It puts it all together. It will take what you see, what you hear, what you feel, and put it all together and say, well, what is it and what am I supposed to do? If it's somebody that makes you happy and you're hearing happy sounds, I'll give you an example. I am performing Rutter's Requiem. It's just an appropriate piece for Good Friday. Anyway, so I'm able to hear it, and I'll be able to see the music, etc. So, and there are parts of it that make me very happy, and there are parts of it that don't, especially when you're trying to sing it. Anyway, it can, and when I get frustrated with it, I go to my friends or my colleagues in the choir and say, what in the world is going on here? I can't reach that note. So all this information is being translated and being put up here in the frontal lobe, and it coordinates it. Right down here, just so you know, this is smell, and your nose is right connected right here and goes into, so smell is a very, very important sense in the brain. And I'm sure you all have experienced it. I'm Sicilian. I will tell you that my family, I used to say I was Italian, and they'd correct me and say, no, you're Sicilian. And when they were cooking tomato sauce or lasagna or whatever they were cooking, my mouth immediately salivated. I was so hungry. And so, and that's true if you go back and think about what they're talking about, the ingredients or what it looks like or how hot it is. It all is integrated again into the frontal lobe. So executive skills. And I want to relate these to job, academic, even recreational activities, because it requires planning, organization, time management, and working memory. And I'll give you an example. If your boss or somebody says to me, we've got to work out next year's calendar for the school, or if like the State Department of Education came down to visit us and we were very successful, but it took a lot of planning and organization of content, which they expected to observe. And of course, there's only time management is only it's probably one of the more important things, because if you procrastinate, then you won't get the work done in order for the representative from the state or from your supervisor. And so the planning, organization, and time management is very, very important. The working memory is what holds in your mind complex tasks and how you're going to perform them. And if you think about, for example, math, if you think about it, is another language. It has symbol representation and names. And so really, when you're looking at math, and some people are good at it and some people are not. I'm not particularly good at math, so I try to escape and avoid it at all cost. So the working memory, you have a whole lot of information. If you're playing basketball, or if you're playing football or tennis, your memory has to be working. Your working memory is constantly thinking, moving. Where am I going to move? Where am I going to throw the ball, etc. So whether it's in a play or in work or any other setting, your working memory, which is really part of the frontal lobe, is essential in planning tasks and being successful. Then there's a term called metacognition. Sounds like a big word, but all it is really observing how are you going to problem solve? What is the bird's eye view? Where am I on the court? How is this going to affect my next move? And it also involves shifting mental set. When somebody on a basketball court moves in one direction, that means you have to shift your mental set and shift your thinking to, I'm going to throw the ball now because he's gone. Or if you're studying plays, how is that going to affect my interaction with other members of my team? Okay, here's other things that are important to remember for employment. And I think if you can remember these things and use them, because one of the things I hope to accomplish in this lecture and discussion, because I do want it to be a discussion, is how to modify your behavior as one moves along a path. Response inhibition. Boy, I'm escaping and avoiding that task, and you have to think before you act. So you want to plan your actions, whether it's stacking vegetables in a grocery store, or planning an activity of a sport, or anything like that. Emotional regulation. I can't tell you how important this is, because your emotions will dictate your tone of voice, how you look at somebody, how your nonverbal behavior is being expressed, your facial expression. So people looking at you can tell exactly how you feel and what you want to express. So it's important when you're dealing with your manager or your professor or whomever you are speaking to, that you want to be able to manage your emotions and respond appropriately to what his emotions may be. Because one of the things I learned not too long ago in a conference that I went to is emotions are contagious. So if you're angry, then those feelings, whether they're verbal, nonverbal, can be conveyed easily to your manager or to your coach or professor. And you really want to think about how you look and how you're going to behave in that situation. Task initiation is how, I'm not going to procrastinate on this paper that is due, or this assignment, or what my task is in my job. You want to get on it and complete it within the rules and regulations of your organization and company. And it's not only what is within your company, it's laws. Like I had a situation today where I had to make a decision whether I was going to hire a BCBA part-time or full-time, and what are the implications of that? Because they have all kinds of implication regarding pay, time on task, benefits, all those kinds of things. So when you're looking for a job and you initiate the contact with the employer, you really want to think about all the things that are important to you, and you might want to make a list. For example, what hours do I have to be there? What are my benefits? And be able to convey your questions appropriately. Any special needs that you have will also be important. For example, I don't like to admit it very much, but I have ADD, and I can and I will tell people that, because it may interfere with my ability to pursue my desired outcome or goal. The next is mental flexibility and being able to transition and reverse plans when obstacles arise. Those obstacles may be on the freeway, and we've all experienced those as we drive down the freeway and we see trash cans in the road, or the orange cones, or even in my dining room, I can see things on the table that are really kind of ignoring me because that's not where they belong. Mental processing speed. As one becomes familiar with the speed or the rapidity with which an individual has to complete a task, like a professor, let's say, says you have to complete this task you have a week to complete this task, is really very important, because he's giving you a timeline. And so scheduling out a timeline so you complete the task. What am I going to do first? Pick a topic. Second, what is the contact? Where is the references until you complete all that you need to do? And of course, this all relates to goal-directed persistence and the capacity to follow through with the goals that you set for yourself or someone else sets them for them because they have it's in a class, a job, how many baskets you can do in basketball. And I should tell you, I've never played basketball, so I don't know, but it's a good example. Okay, significance of wellness in executive functioning. If you're not feeling well, generally, your activities of daily living play a significant role in completing your goals in and out of the workplace. And I know because I was just listening to some music on this computer that exercise, nutrition, and sleep are critical to one's not only physical health, its mental health, and your capacity to be social in an environment. So I encourage you to exercise, go to a gym. If you have a buddy to run a race with or to play tennis with, do that. I'm not nutrition crazy, and I don't mean that to be flippant, but I try to eat healthy with healthy foods that I purchase from where I know the foods that I'm eating are nutritious, such as vegetables, fruits, different meats, cheeses, things that are really going to help you and help you feel good about yourself. Because when you eat inappropriately and you don't exercise, then you tend to gain weight. And obviously that is not something that one desires because you won't be feeling very good about yourself. And sleep. I remember when I was young, that was quite a while ago, I didn't necessarily get a good night's sleep. And it may be because I was on the phone or watching television or doing whatever, but I didn't sleep very well. And sometimes the things I watched, like violent shows or World War II and and then I really couldn't go to sleep. So reading or listening to music or all the calm on your phone will help you rest and be able to participate in all your activities of daily living, whether they're work, play, or education. Let's talk now about assessments. And the objective here is explain how assessment measures can lead to evidence-based interventions. Does anybody have any question? I said I'd wait till the end, so I will wait till the end. See, impulsive behavior. They're laughing at me. But anyway, we have to look at ourselves and what we are like and what we are interested in. And that's really important. I was looking at some things today and that I had no interest in, really didn't care. And so then I'm not going to put my best foot forward and my enthusiasm for this, what I was seeing. Actually, it was a movie and I wasn't interested in it. I couldn't get in it. So I just turned it off. And that's true with vocational training and future job placement needs. Especially they need to incorporate the interest of you as an individual and consider the mutual interest of the educational institution, the job or the sports that you are participating in. What are the skill sets that you have? What are you really good at? And that you really enjoy. And it may be, again, a sport, a subject. I know people who are really interested in medicine or in engineering or accounting, which is hard for me to imagine, but that's okay. I'm serious. I really, it's so far from my level of interest that I don't understand it. These answers should drive vocational training and education and future job placements as well as opportunities. The key is to match the job or the activity that you are participating in with your skill set and interest. Okay, let's talk about the employer because it's not just about you, it's about who is going to employ you and what are you going to bring to them. And I want to provide you with some things that we all have to consider in terms of training before we can even start work. And the first one is HIPAA, and I'm sure you've heard of HIPAA, but it's the federal law that requires the creation to protect sensitive patient health or educational information. And everybody has to be aware of it because you don't want to violate HIPAA because it not only is it a law, but it can really hurt somebody if you're talking about a medical condition or health condition that they're very sensitive about. FERPA is another one, and that is related to educational records. When you, for example, the law has just changed now that students in special education can get a diploma. And it's no different than the diploma that anybody else can get. And the reason is that the state changed that is because you can't, unless you have a diploma, you can't join the military or perform some responsibilities without it. And your responsibility might be joining the military, for example. Well, you need that diploma. You can get it through junior colleges and other institutions, but mostly now you can, when you finish high school, you can now get a diploma, but that doesn't mean that your special education status will be limited. You can still go to the age of 22. CPR, that's obviously necessary if somebody is hurt in the workplace, and first aid as well. You really want to be competent in CPR, first aid, because you never know when you're going to come across an individual that is impaired for some reason. Harassment training. I know in schools, because that's where I live, sometimes kids will hit, verbally abuse other children, teachers, and individuals that are employed in the school. That is very seriously harming to those individuals. And they need that, and it makes them feel bad about themselves. So they will end up with emotions that are not going to get them very far because they may hit you or cause some other reaction that is undesirable. The employer. adaptive training to accommodate needs for the individual. We all are unique. We all have our own strengths and limitations. And sometimes I will even write a behavior support plan or an action plan that will help me get through the day, especially if it's going to be a challenging and difficult day. Outlines for support strategies to be implemented for reducing problem behavior and for teaching positive skills uh, designated to replace negative behaviors or problem behaviors that will disrupt you, your classroom, and your work or play environment. Provide visual and auditory aids are necessary. I will make a list. My friend suggested that I listen to this piece of music that I have to perform in by listening to it in the car so when I'm driving to work, so that I can remember the tune and the notes that are necessary for me to sing. Well, I never really thought of that because for me, the silence in the car is very healing. And so, but now because I have to do this performance, I am going to listen in the car so I get the melodies, the tunes, and the words that are necessary for me to perform in front of an audience. That's visuals are very important. You can have visual schedules to help you accommodate your assignments, whether it's a paper, whether it is putting away groceries in a grocery store, completing a assignment that a person may have asked you to do, such as your taxes, for example. Okay, I think those are those are pretty easy for you to do yourself. If you need some assistance, you can always go to your school or your job and say, I'd like to listen to this. Is there an aid on YouTube? And I know that I was I really wanted to avoid YouTube. I don't know why. I just had this aversion, but I weave and I spin wool. And so the best way for me to learn is by the visual and auditory aids that were provided to me on YouTube. Okay, assistive technology is another one. Just things as simple as magnifiers. When I have a huge loom upstairs, and in order for me to manage my weaving, I have to wear a light on my forehead because the threads where I have to manage the threads in the loom requires really precise vision. And so I have to wear a light and a magnifier. Talking devices such as talking thermostats. It's too hot in here. It's too cold. But if you have a challenge with hearing or any other impairment like that, you may want to have a talking device or software that can read the information to you. Text-to-speech systems where there is optical character recognition, to me, that is invaluable because I can, if I get up in the middle of the night and I have a terrific idea or what I think is a terrific idea, I can roll over and dictate into an optical optical character recognition device. And also, I like to read in large print. Some of the materials I get from various places, the print is so small that my dry eyes can't see it. And so I like to get print materials that are printed in large print, and will go to places like I'm trying to think of FedEx, and have them enlarged if I don't have a printer at home. So these are just some of the things that may help you and your employer adapt to training and meet the goals that you have set out for yourself in the workplace or in the recreational environment. Coworkers. This is kind of difficult. And the reason I say it's difficult is because it's really social. It's really working to get along with your coworkers, learning from them, having them learn from you. And so it's a mutually beneficial situation. And this, again, not when you're in a workplace, I want to say it's really holistic, because you want to get a relationship with your coworkers that is positive, your supervisors, the people that you see every day, and they need to be educated. I have to tell you, I hate the word trained, being very frank, because that's not what people are. People are educated on facts about autism and other related disabilities. What are the strengths, again, and what are the weaknesses? How can I take mentorship? How can I take a mentorship role for somebody who comes into my office and I want to mentor so that they will be successful in their environment, with their task assignments, to all the things that are required of them in this environment? As long and along with that should be social skills. Sometimes people don't understand the challenges of social skills, not only with individuals that perhaps have autism, but other disabilities as well. And it should be very thoughtfully taken with deep concern, because you want to cultivate social skills. Everyone wants friends, family, individuals that they meet in the stores to be friendly and provide them with what they need. And the social skill component is very critical. What are some support systems? I want to start out with saying collaboration is the key to success, sharing your ideas and allowing others to share their ideas with you. This may include job coaches, supervisors, family members. I can remember when I could not solve Gauss' elimination method of solving simultaneous equations. I couldn't, it was taught by a graduate student when I was in college. And I had to go, I was up in the middle of the night and I couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't figure it out. And I actually went to my father, who is a mechanical engineer, and I said, look, I can't do this. And he laughed with me and he says, I can't either. But we worked it out together. There must be consistency. One of the things that I mentioned earlier is transition and being able to shift attention to individuals. But the more consistent we can be, the faster we can do it, the more we understand the complexity of the situation and the individuals, whether they have autism or not, will be more successful in their environment. Again, regular meetings, performance updates with employees with autism. Employees, one of the things I did not want to do, and I've tried not to do in this talk, is just talk about autism as a disability. What I want to say to you is everyone should involve regular meetings and performance updates with their employees and employers. That is very important to me as a person who has ADD and perhaps other disabilities that I'm not even aware of. So I really thinking about your values and how to be successful is critical to your own success. Oh, I can, okay. Develop interventions that can lead to workplace success and greater independence. Okay. This I found rather astonishing, and I wanted to mention employment statistics for individuals that do have autism or related disorder. Unemployment rates among individuals with autism are high. 40.8% of individuals on the spectrum are employed, which is a good number, but is it good enough? The Department of Labor came out with this figure in 2023. 8.2% are unemployed, according to the Department of Labor. Now, if you add those up, it comes to something close to 50%, which is not a good number. 50% of individuals, including my daughter, are not employed. And we don't really know the reasons why, and needs to be further expanded. What kind of vocational education and employment, and it doesn't have to be vocational education. It can be any education, because well, I can share with you that probably my plumber makes more than I do. And you know, when he hands me his bill for thousands of dollars because I need a new drain or heater or whatever, you know, I go, oh, where am I going to get that? But anyway, it's really important that you consider all aspects. And again, I want to refer back to your own interest and own needs in the job market. The employment can take place in internships, and the internships are a very positive place to learn, because you can be in a company or be mentored by a jeweler or be mentored by a mechanic of some kind, and learn a tremendous amount about what you can do to contribute to your own self-worth as well as the community as a whole. Microenterprise is very interesting. This is defined as a business operated by less than 10 people. There's a whole variety of microenterprises: vending machines, handmade products such as jewelry, woven scarves, baking and cooking, art. And all these, again, should be based on your skills and interests, not on something that is assigned to you or is expected of you necessarily. Vocational accommodations include positive behavior supports, which we already talked about social behaviors, social boundaries, interpersonal boundaries that help us learn and be able to communicate effectively, whether verbally or non-verbally, to individuals in our environment. Video modeling, that is very interesting because when someone wants to teach you something and they can video, for example, how to change a tire, and then you can watch that video over and over and over again so that you can learn it, and it's not just repetition from that one person. Certainly, you can go back and ask questions of your mentor who can again continue to be supportive. Audio coaching is also another way. For example, you can wear a transmitter in your ear, and somebody can be standing a few feet away from you and give you coaching about, I don't know, let's see, how the cans need to be placed on the shelf in a grocery store. And nobody would even know that you were using that inner ear device. And it's quite successful when people are learning new skills that they haven't had experience with. Immediate feedback and assistance from your support system is critical to your success. We all want to have mentors. We all want to have people that are interested in our success. And forming those relationships is critical. Peer mentors are another example of how you can use your social skills to have peers and mentors help you grow. I'm curious if any of you know Mr. Minagi from, what's the name of the show? The Japanese show? Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai. I'm sorry, I had to ask my colleague.
It's an American show, okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. But I want to tell you that I really enjoyed that show because it modeled for me peers and how they can help each other. Thank you for the information. And I've also mentioned employee benefits. Benefits are very important nowadays and as I said earlier, because we all need health insurance, vision, dental, long-term care insurance. And making a list to go into your new employer or to your coach or to anyone can help you be clear about things that you are going to have, like health insurance when you need to go to the doctor. It will help you be successful. And being clear helps your employer, your coach, etc., be clear with you. Vocational training employment takeaways. This is sort of a summary. First of all, it increases your independence and your quality of life. And this should be an ongoing priority. By mentoring meaningful progress and specialize in facilitating skill acquisition in individuals with ASD is critical because you want to know how you're doing. We learn from our mistakes, and it is very, very helpful. I can't tell you how many mistakes I've made in my weaving, in my spinning, just doing the calendar at work can be a monumental task. and it provides outcome across the lifespan. You know, when my daughter was a child, she's now in her 40s, I thought of her as a child. And I didn't think of her as an adult who, with physiological, psychological, social, religious, and other needs. So now that she is in her 40s, I have become so aware of all of these. And of course, 40 years ago, not much was known about this disorder or any really very many handicapping disorders. They weren't thought about. Down syndrome, other disorders, and each person needs to lead or would hope to lead a fulfilling life. And it doesn't matter what the disability is. We all can contribute to activities within our family, within our community, and within our society. All of this will promote a well-being and positive interaction and make a world of difference in our internal ability to feel good about ourselves. So I think I wasn't, oh, here are some pictures. This is my daughter, Jessica, and you can see the pile of weavings that she's done. And she's very, very happy about the accomplishments. When one of the best things for her, just like everybody else, her reinforcer is money. So she'll always ask me, Mom, how much should I charge for this? And, and I'll say, Jessica, it means you have to consider all the yarn you put in it, the time, what have you done to set a price? And that is a real challenge for her. So she also makes jewelry, and the same thing. What are the stones? What are the chains, the clasps? When you do a micro enterprise, you have to consider all of these because you're setting a standard for yourself and the quality of the product that you are trying to make and achieve and sell to society. I'm going to give you another example of micro enterprise. I happened to be at a conference long time ago, and a young man who was very involved with art and happened to have autism. And his art was selling off the walls. And now I spoke to his mother yesterday, and his art is now in galleries, and she can't sell them to me just over the internet or because I've called her up. So these are just examples of micro enterprises. Other situations are coffee shops, car washes. I'm just trying to think of other things that I have seen in the community. Can't think of another one right this second, but use your imagination and your dreams to do what you want to do and contribute to yourself, your family, your society, and community. I thank you very much, and I'm interested in hearing your questions. Oh, I forgot my summary. With the appropriate assessment, education, interventions, and support, successful employment is going to be more likely an outcome. Going through some of the steps that I mentioned will help you organize yourself so when you're interviewed, you come across as knowledgeable about your own needs, your own interests, how much money do you need to make? and your employer can communicate flexibility and what the environment of the office can be. For example, if you may be interested in animals, some may be interested in dogs, for example. We have 2 dogs and we love them. I would not be good in a zoo. I think I would really be, I would just be afraid. But collaboration is the key, and education is the key, because somebody may take me under the wing and teach me how to work in a zoo. My husband, who's a pediatrician, loves to watch the animals shows on television because initially he thought he wanted to be a veterinarian. But he loves it because he continues to learn, and learning is a lifetime project. It isn't just because you graduated from high school or college. I continue to learn every day. Matter of fact, just because of the degrees that I hold, I have to go to so many continuing education classes, I'd probably never be at work. But and everybody laughs. Okay, and the last thing is inclusion, collaboration, and being involved in your community is for all. It's not just for me or for individuals who don't have a disability or a complication of some kind. And I want to encourage you, because the sky is the limit. Trent Altman sells his paintings, and my daughter, when she actually got $125 for some of her jewelry, and I didn't think she'd make that kind of money. I have to tell you, she doesn't spend it on herself. She wants me to go buy the stones and the jewelry and the yarn. But that's okay, because I feel like I'm contributing to her quality of life. So I want to thank you all for listening to me. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to share my answers.
Thank you, Dr. Lang.